you have to decide what you want to do. You have to decide what kind of business you want to create. Spend some time thinking about your goals, your strategy.
Today we have Guy Rozman, the owner of mediaflowzz. Welcome, Guy.
Hi, Ryan. Thanks you for having me.
You're welcome. We're interested. Tell us about your business.
All right. So mediaflowzz is a PPC ad agency. We work with tech startup, e-commerce brand who markets to the global market. We have a remote team of PPC campaign managers and some people who do the tech behind it. And we're excited to help companies grow and scale their revenues using PPC.
Great. And for those who are not familiar with the PPC acronym, can you explain what that means?
Yeah, for sure. So PPC is for pay per click. What it basically says, it's any type of paid advertising online. The main platform that we work on is Google, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So we can run and operate campaigns on either of those platforms.
Yeah, great. That sounds really good. And how did you get started in that?
Yeah, so I started like I think 11 or 12 years ago. Um, Online marketing was in the initial phases, right? Like it was just starting out. I heard some lecture about it, and I said, okay, this is for me. This is what I want to do. I want to try affiliate marketing, to make money online, all of that. I found out that it's not that easy to do. It's not that easy to create money just by sharing some affiliate links. So I decided that I really want to make it as a profession, and I got accepted to a digital agency in Israel, where I come from, and it was very like early stages. It was only Google advertising back then, only search. It was only desktop, no mobile back then. But we ran campaign, and it was very interesting, and I kept doing that basically ever since. And I got promoted. I managed the team. I built the team around it. And after a few years, I also moved to work in startups. So I managed the digital marketing departments. But always like my main focus was on paid acquisition, paid advertising, and this is like what I've been doing since then, basically.
Yeah, fantastic. And where do you think you bring the most value to the marketplace?
So it's a good question. So first of all, I do have a lot of experience because I've seen a lot of different campaigns and a lot of different company using paid advertising to grow. So I work, with like small business owners that just want to generate some leads, and get sales to their business. And I worked with really fast growing startups, like Outbrain and like Yotpo and like Fiverr. And I got a chance to see how it scales, from X to Y in a very short period of time. So I really seen how it can be done. And I also worked with some, brands like, back in the day, I worked with Orange, the cellular company. Um, I used to work with banks, back in Israel. So a lot of branding campaigns and a lot of awareness campaigns that we used to do. So I think I have a very wide perspective. Plus, I also, I've been on the agency side, but I also have been on the client side, and I used to manage agencies that would work for me as a client. So I really like, I've been everywhere, and I've seen a lot, and I think that this is like my unique experience that I can really connect with any business and see how we can create value using the tools that I know.
Yeah, that's really good, and that breadth of experience is definitely really important when you're hiring a media buyer because yeah, like if you've seen a lot, you know the nuances of both the individual systems, like the ad platforms themselves, like the Facebook and Googles and those sorts of things, but also the nuances of each of the different industries that you've worked in the past as well, which can be quite complicated, can't it?
Oh, for sure, because it's like you said, you need to cover your bases, right? You need to know how Google works and how Facebook works, and you need to know every little detail. And these platforms, they're changing all the time, right? Adding more complexity to it. So you have to have that, but it's not enough. You really have to have the business understanding and to apply it to basically any business at any stage, right? And this is the secret sauce. I think this combination, um, and this is like the way for me to generate results to the businesses I work with. And we do have a process because it is hard. It is hard to understand. Pet insurance. If I never sold pet, but this is like one of the clients I have now. So I can't be a master in pet insurance like he can, right? But I need to understand enough. I need to understand the market. So I need to do my research. So we do have processes that help us, research the market, research the competition, understand his audience, understand the pain points, doing this really solid marketing brief to really understand what we're doing. And then we can take it and apply it to each advertising platform.
Yeah, that's great. And so, business question for you:
Yeah.
aside from those skills and the processes that you have down pat now, what had to change in you as a business owner to take you from where you were when you started to where you are now?
Yeah. So obviously, it's a lot of changes. I will talk about like the recent changes because I started Media Flows, let's say 6 months ago. I started the agency, but I was freelancing like 2 years before. And I had that shift going from working in a startup and managing a team of digital marketing to going back to freelancing and manage PPC campaign on my own, operating everything basically. So I needed to learn how to run a business as well as getting back to running campaigns myself and not overseeing it. So I had to, refine my skills that way. And right now, the journey that I'm at is really making it as a business and creating an agency around it. It's not only me running your campaign. Right now, it's a team and we have processes. And it's not enough that I have the experience because my employees also need to know what to do and need to understand. So it's really a matter of building the processes, hiring the team, getting everyone aligned, and working on the communication all the time. I think this is like the key key success factor for a good agency: communicating internally and communicating externally with the clients all the time, ongoing conversation. And you have to have it with like several clients, right? So you have to have it in all the time, multiple channels. So this is the challenge that we're facing now, and this is what we're working on to optimize and to improve.
Yeah, I definitely hear a lot from a lot of successful people that it comes down to a really solid team and then really solid leadership of that team,
Yeah.
and that makes a huge difference. So, could you give us a couple of insights that has made the biggest or most dramatic change to your business growth over the last, let's say 2 years as as you were freelancing, and then kind of shifting into a fairly fast growth startup in the last 6 months?
Yeah. So first of all, it's a mindset shift that I had. Decided that I'm not a freelancer anymore, and now I'm building an agency. So
Mm,
it's two separate things, right? So this is definitely the first factor, and then the second would be what came after. Once I decided that, so okay, so I need a name for the agency. I need to brand it. I need to build a website. I need to think seriously about my marketing because I never did marketing for myself. Just people would randomly come to me, word of mouth. Now I really need to think about it. Okay, who is my persona? Who is my avatar? What kind of clients I want to attract? And I don't want just to work with every business in the world. I want to work with specific businesses. So I chose to focus on tech startup, and I chose to focus on e-commerce brand and online brands in particular, because this is what I like to do, and this is where I can generate a lot of impact very fast because you see results very fast and right away. And this is the kind of refinement I needed to do, for my offer, how I can improve my service and my proposal to these kind of customers. And then came the building a team, to hire the right people, to have a hiring process. Who am I looking for? What will they need to do? How can they help me? And how can they grow, within the agency? And this is, and I think that now I'm at really at the stage that we have the foundation, we have the team, we have the internal processes, we know how to take a customer from A to Z. Now it's just a matter of, okay, getting the right type of customers on a regular basis and hiring all the time looking for talent, and when we see
Mm.
someone that can fit to our culture and can work. We also work remote, so it's very, very important for me that people are comfortable in this setting. So this is the processes that are ongoing from now on.
Yeah, that's good. And so, what have been some of the challenges that you've faced as part of that rapid growth?
Mhm. So first of all, the working remote is a challenge by itself. Like, I'm used to it because I've been doing it in the past few years. Once COVID hits, everybody got used to it, by default. So
Yeah.
it made my life easier in that sense. But it still is a challenge because you're not sitting next to the people that you work with, and sometimes it's very easy to sit together to look at the shared screen and talk about stuff, and also getting that connection with them, like a human connection. It's not all about the work and the numbers. So what? So this is a challenge, and like the way I'm coping with the challenge is, again, with communication and with processes. So we have a daily meeting and we have a weekly meeting, and I have weekly meetings with all of the clients, and we communicate on WhatsApp all the time. So for me, communication is really the key to solve that issue, of remote work. Um, and maybe the other challenge is attracting the right kind of customers on an ongoing basis, because I get a stream of leads from my network, from people that I know, from a lot of the connections. But how do you build something that is very sustainable and you can even plan more to the future? So this is another challenge that we're working on now.
Yeah, that's great. And what advice would you give to a business owner or CEO
Hmm.
who wants to break through to their next level in
Yeah.
business?
So, circling back, like to where I'm started from. So it's mostly like it starts with your decision and mindset. You have to decide what you want to do. You have to decide what kind of business you want to create. Spend some time thinking about your goals, your strategy. And I'm not a person that likes to plan every small detail and create like a very detailed plan, because I know that reality hits very hard. I like to be more agile myself, but you got to have the direction. So once I decided that I'm building an agency, there you go. So this is all my energy was focused on that. So this is one thing, and the other thing that I can highly recommend is get some help. Get some mentor, some coach, get into a program, whatever, because in the end of the day, this you need something to hold you to hold you accountable. And once you have that, it's game changing. You will always give yourself some slack, but someone else will hold you accountable, and this has also been for me a key factor in my growth.
That is excellent advice for sure.
Yeah,
And so, if you could go back, Guy, and give your 5-year-old younger self, so you 5 years ago, what
yeah.
advice would you give to yourself back then?
Wow. So I would tell to myself to trust me a bit more, not to be afraid, because I was very afraid of doing this leap from working in the tech startup to becoming independent freelance. I think it did, eventually it did happen when it was best for me, but if it would happen early, I would just say, okay, trust yourself. You have it. Once you start, things will happen. You're in the right direction, and just go for it. And this is, I think, like the best advice I could get 5 years ago.
Yeah, I love that. That's good. And finally, Guy, who can you best help? And if they want to get in touch, how can they do that?
Okay, so I can help companies that are now growing and want to invest more into their paid advertising efforts. Usually, it's going to be tech startup. After a round of finance, they have a lot of money. They need to grow fast. I really know how to do that. And it can also be e-commerce brands. Q4 now is coming, and Christmas shopping is here. So it's a great time to up your game, in PPC, because these companies rely heavily on Google and Facebook as the growth engines. So I would say these are the main businesses that I can help. Again, using PPC and helping them grow their business.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, Guy, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate the value that you've been able to share.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Guy.